Welcome to the third episode of my series video of how I'm building my AI LinkedIn growth assistant. And today's video, I'm going to share with you how actually I've turned this n8n workflow into a skill that is going to be run on my plugins. For those who don't know what I'm talking about here about ALGA, please watch my first and my second video. But I'm going to do a little bit of summary here so that you have a little bit of context. Now, don't get me wrong. This n8n workflow works great, but there's a catch here. If I deploy it to a client and it fails, I have to go in its own instance and change whatever is actually going wrong there. But that is not the case with the skill. A skill is a markdown text. You can actually see the markdown format there, all right? So it's just a text written in a markdown format, just like HTML, right? It's not a programming language, okay, right? So it's just a markup. And then this document is actually doing the same thing that this n8n workflow is doing. And one of the beautiful things is that if it breaks somewhere, Claude is going to fix it along the way, right? Because there's not pre-built anything workflow. So you can actually see the steps here. Let me just walk you through each part of this workflow, and let me just show you what we did on skills. Now, before we dive in, I want to give you a little bit of context. As I said, since on my first video of this series video, I've been building the plugins that is called ALGA. ALGA is going to be stored inside my Claude Cowork. Now, this actually ALGA is actually the plugins that is going to be running my LinkedIn for me, but with a human in the loop. So it's not going to just go and do things. It's having a set of instructions, but it's there to advise me, guide me, also to run some sub-routine tasks like straight posts, like prepare comment for me, like suggest to me posts, like review news update for me and suggest to me, oh, Ruben, you can make this post. Oh, Ruben, there's this of one of your target profile that actually posted this. It might sound, it's actually resonating with your voice or your tone of voice. So this is actually my Airtable, the front end of ALGA, where I actually easily visualize the information with ALGA. Actually, just like a database, also with my interface, I can actually see. So this is actually the strategy that was drafted for me by ALGA. Okay, so you can actually see my strategy here. It's actually suggested to me my LinkedIn headline, my LinkedIn about, and my tone of voice. And how did he do it? I gave him a lot of context about me. I went into my user information. I gave him a lot of information about my profile, who I am. I gave him my passion, what I like, what I do not like, what's my follower goal, and what is the revenue goal. So it's going to keep track of this goal and this current goal, and I gave most description about my goals of this year. And then I actually added some assets, like I added some pictures about what I did previously. Okay, like for example, this is a picture of me right now. Okay, so this is a picture of me like walking. There's like a picture on 2024. Okay, and there's a picture of me. I think there's another picture of me which they did. Okay, that's 2026. That's just recent. Okay, so you can now use this one of this picture and say, oh, Ben, you can make a comment or a post. Let's say a post, and then use this picture, because actually the way you describe this picture actually is actually resonating with one of the posts that I think it will match the attachment that we need to provide to this text. So that's the kind of things I want ALGA to be doing, right? Actually to suggest to me, think for me, suggest, then I approve it, I review and I approve it, all right? Something that I will not spend all my time doing, but it's actually based on my information. It's not something that the AI actually, like when rogue and started thinking, no, use my personal information and turn it into content. Right, and I always update it with new information. Someday will ask me, hey Ruben, what are you doing today? I'm going to provide me some information. Okay, I'm going to give him access to most of my information. I can't trust Claude from that. I'm going to show you the reason why. So now let's go back to Claude and the explanation about Claude Cowork. Probably you are wondering now, what is Claude Cowork? Actually, see where Claude Cowork is available. So you can have Claude Cowork on your desktop or Mac OS. It's actually only available on application on Mac OS or Windows machine. Okay. Now, another important information is that Claude Cowork is actually a research preview, right? It's not yet, let me say, a full, ready, consumable product, but it's actually available for you to use. And then from our feedback, they're going to improve the product, okay? And one of the things that Claude Cowork store conversation history locally on your computer, okay? They don't have access to it. That's one of the reasons that I was saying that you can trust this solution because of this specific important thing that they are saying. All right, and currently they're even on a battle with the US government. You can check it online. I don't want to comment on it now. Some key capability with Claude Cowork: you can have direct access to local file. You can read your local file. Okay, I could have my Airtable information locally stored on my computer. I can still have ALGA running only on my computer, right? That means the plugin is storing the information in my computer, having access to my computer. I can read the information from my computer, but I didn't find yet a suitable way to have a display of all that information. Maybe to have a local base database with the let me say with the interface, and that I can write on Claude Code. But I want something that is just easy for you guys to use, for people that are going to download this plugin later on. If you want to have early access to this plugin, there's a link on my bio. Click on it and subscribe. Now, let's go about plugins. Now, plugins actually is just see it as a digital employee. Let me just explain to you directly on this simple illustration that I have prepared. This is a plugins, okay? So plugins is just a package of skills, connector, command, and agent, okay? It's just like a digital employee that have skills, okay? Skills like it can write code, it can write a PowerPoint, it can write a summary document, it can sing, he can write a song. So these are the regular skills that an employee can have. Now, plugins is just like the package of a skills connector. So if connectors, what are they? Connectors are the, let me say, the wire from Claude that you can plug through MCP or through auth. So if you don't know about MCP or authentication, so you don't have to worry about those kind of things. Just to know that if you want to connect your hotspot, your Airtable, which application again, your Superbase, let me say, yes, one of the CRM that you are using, okay, maybe it's a Go High Level, maybe it's a Zapier. If you want to connect it to Claude Cowork, it's possible with connectors, okay? Now with commands are just a simple slash instruction. Like, please give me a coffee. You can have a secretary, she knows the set of command that you have. Please print this document for me. Give me a coffee. Go to this third floor office. So they set a starting instruction. So it's just like straight this. Give me my strategy. So let me just share with you what is a command on my own side. So on ALGA, I have a set of command currently, okay? Now, I have a command that is called enrich. It's actually the one that is going to enrich the profile. I have a command that is called strategy. The strategy that is going to, if I put slash strategy, is going to run the strategy that is going to create the strategy for me again, okay? So this is actually about plugin. One of the things that plugins can have is agent. So you can have agent within plugin, okay? So now this is the full package. So you can see plugins as Claude Plus. So you have one part, the intelligence, like the LLM, Opus 4.6 or Sonnet 4.6. And then powering your plugins and then give you the result that you are expecting. Okay. So now this is the simplest way that you can actually capture plugins. Okay. Don't too much bother yourself. And then when you have a plugin, you know that you have skills, you have connectors, you have command, you have agents. So it's just like a digital employee that you're hiring. Okay. That's one of the beautiful things. It's really, and there's no code that you're actually writing there. There's no actually set of code that you need to write there. Okay. It's not specific. You can write a specific code inside skills. But again, you're not the one to write the skills. You can go to Claude Chat and then share about what you want to do, and then it's going to write the skills for you. People use Claude Code to write skills. Then you can use Claude Chat as well. You just explain what you want, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, this is actually the simple explanation about what is the plugins. Then you have another thing that is called schedule recurring tasks in Claude Cowork. So I shared with you on my previous video. Please check my previous video to understand what is the schedule task. Okay. Now you can also have Claude for Teams and Enterprise Plan. Okay. I'm not going to comment on it now, but you can have access to it on the blog. So you just go to just go to this address, claude.com/article, so you can have access to this all of these articles. Now we are back on our n8n workflow and the skills. Okay, now let's just review the step-by-step process together so that you understand what happened here. Okay, so at the beginning of this n8n workflow, what I have is actually a schedule node. So every day at 5 a.m. is going to wake up and it's going to fetch all my active profiles. So if my active profile are there, so I can come here to my Airtable bit to show you what are my active profiles. I have a table that is called my targeted profile. So I have some set of people that I'm targeting on LinkedIn, and I want to interact with their posts. I want to see what they are posting today, then comment. So you can actually see one of these guys, so Matan Patel, and then you can actually see the number of script posts that I did. Then I'm ready to write any comment on this or one of these posts. Okay, so that's the reason why I have this target profile. So some of them are archived just because I was testing them, but I'm going to bring them back to active because I'm still interacting with some of these people. Then this what is happening with this node. Okay, that's the same thing that is actually happening here on the skills. All right, so let me just show you. So what it's going to do is that there's a primary step. Okay, you need to read configuration. So these are some primary steps that you need to have my base ID, my Unipile ID. I'm going to share about what's Unipile in a few moments. Then you have some resolve table ID, but the most important thing to, if you want to start directly from where we are now, this is what's happening. So that is the script command. Okay, that's one. So compute today is going to first have the date of today, and then call for active target profile, just the same like here. So it's actually calling for active profile, and then when you have active profile, what's going to happen is going to create a loop, and then to create a loop, to actually loop them, that's the same thing that's happening there. It's actually looping all of them because it's going to call for the post to scrape their post, and then one of the things that is going to do is to resolve for provider ID. Provider ID is the ID that is specifically needed if I want to scrape post using Unipile. Now, in this workflow, I was using Apify to scrape posts, but on this one, I'm using Apify. I'm using Unipile. Now, why I've switched from Apify to Unipile, because Unipile is that actually unified platform. Let me share with you. So it's actually a unified platform that actually gives me the possibility to connect my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my WhatsApp, my calendar, my Gmail account into their platform. Through their APIs platform, I can have access remotely to my various accounts. All right, I don't need to be specifically in front of my computer on LinkedIn. I can have my account connected through their API, and then I have a set of API endpoint that they give me that I can do a posting, I can do a comment, I can fetch a post from another profile, and that's what I did. So now this is my Unipile account, so you can actually see my LinkedIn that's actually connected there. So what I need to provide to my plugins is actually this account ID, and I need to provide my DSNS, I need to provide my access token. If you come at my plugins, you can actually see have a connectors here, and there's a connectors is connected to my Unipile, and then this Unipile is going to need the access token, and it's going to need my DNS, and it's going to need the account ID that is managing. Okay, that ALGA is managed. So this is the reason why we needed to have a provider ID, because the endpoints that we are going to use, you need the provider ID to fetch someone profile. Okay, so now after fetching the profile, those you can actually see is fetching the post. On this side, what we have is actually running a sub workflow. Okay, there's a sub workflow that's calling Apify, so give me the post. Then after that, is going to have a summary to analyze the post. Analyzing the post that inside this fields here. So let me just go back to my Airtable base, and then I'm going to show you the data table so that you can actually understand why we analyze the post. So let's come back to the scrape post. So this today, so let me just change the view. I want to put yesterday view so that we can have more data here that we can see. You can actually see that when I have the post, it can analyze what is the hook type that was used, what is the post structure, what is the content format, what is the hook that was used, what is the CTA, what is the topic, what is the performance standard, and how it's actually suggesting me how I can rewrite it, right, on my own voice. So there's a suggestion that's actually doing. So this is the reason why we are using analyze tool. So after the scraping, to do the analysis, we have another part of these skills that's actually going to do the analysis. That is called enrich. So this is actually the part that is doing the enrichment. So it's actually going to load all the new profile all the new posts that was scraped, and then run the analysis on each post, and actually give what is the hook type, what is the post structure, and then at the end of it, it's going to store that information and give me the summary. We can actually see on one side, I have something that you need to really have skills on n8n to build. But this one, I didn't know. I didn't write this one myself, but I built this one myself. Though I use a little bit of Claude to do it, but you need to have skills. Okay, personal skills to do that. But this one, I didn't know. I didn't have the skills. I just have a goal. I actually asked the Claude that I want to turn this n8n workflow into a specific skills that ALGA is going to use. Let me just show you the conversation that I have with Claude. Here we are on Claude Chat. So now let me share with you how I'm actually using Claude as the Claude ecosystem, most chat and Cowork, maybe Claude code I'm going to share with you later. Now, how am I using my Claude Chat? I'm using Claude Chat to actually build build project. All right, now I have the set of project that I'm working on. So for example, you can actually, one of the projects is ALGA build. So ALGA build is actually the project where I actually have my chat organized as I'm building ALGA. Okay, and now you can actually see my instruction here, because when you have a project, you give it an instruction. So this prompt instruction is having one goal. What are you? you are Ruben built partner for ALGA, an AI LinkedIn growth assistant built as Claude Cowork plugin. And what is ALGA? It's actually giving the description of what is ALGA, and then it's actually giving the instruction how it's going to help me to build ALGA. Okay, so this is actually the project. Now let me just share with you the conversation that I have to actually build that skills. This is a chat where I actually started updating my plugins. So at the beginning of my plugins, I have the ALGA plugin 1.01. So it's actually the plugin that I actually tested on my first video that generated my strategy, my LinkedIn strategy. So on this video, I actually gave him inside the chat project building ALGA the instruction. So this is the current plugin that we have now. I want to turn on a workflow in n8n that is responsible for fetch active profile in ALGA OS base and call for Apify to script the post for today. And the process is through an AI agent to structure the app. So don't mind the English typo. So if you need the n8n workflow to learn from me, let me know which part is essential to send to keep our conversation short. So I actually started the instruction like I have an n8n workflow that I want to turn into a skills inside my plugins. Okay, so these are plugins that this is the current version of the plugins. Okay, now after I told him that if you need any workflow, I'm going to give it. Okay, just to tell you that not to give too much context at the beginning. So just start always to give a little bit of context so that Claude can absorb it, and then it's going to be let me say in the next iteration, if you need that information, it's going to ask you that information, and it also depends on your system prompt. So I make my system prompt as now. I want to turn this n8n workflow into a Claude Cowork skills inside ALGA plugins. Also change the name of the plugins to simply ALGA, not ALGA strategy. I continue my instruction until I told him that there's going to be to a swap from Apify to Unipile. So I actually gave that information. But toward the end of the instruction, also to store the credential needed, check what credential we need to run a call to MCP connector to Unipile in the plugin. Let's build this skill so that it fetch post of today, only one, making sure it can have all the necessary field that the current workflow is filling. So I have a workflow that's actually doing this job already. So make sure that this skill is going to do the same thing. So then I send the command to it. Then what happens is that actually when I make the search, actually give me that these actually the parameter that we need to put to actually have access to Unipile through MCP connector in the plugins. Then actually confirm that, and then he went through to check the field inside my Airtable base, and then I continue. I gave him, I asked him if you can run a try. So can we run a try here? Because I wanted to be sure that we actually can have access to Unipile to the MCP. Can we run a try here? And one of the beautiful things that in the chat, we can also have access to connector. I can access my connector. This is my Unipile connector here that is already connected, and this is my Airtable base connector also here. So I can build here, have access to my Airtable base, my ALGA Airtable base, my Unipile, build everything. So, and then because I'm packaging the solution, so I'm building to package the solution that you guys can actually download and use. Okay, so that's actually how I'm actually doing it. So I said, okay, so what do you need for that? So it's asking me that I need this Airtable base ID, and then I provide to him the Airtable base ID, my API key. Though I'm going to whether revoke this API key, because if you can have access to my LinkedIn account with that, because you have my account ID here, you have my API, you have my provider ID here, so you have everything, so you have access to my LinkedIn. So I need to revoke it. So this actually my accreditation. Okay, so I said go on, my man, go do the test. So it actually went and do the testing. Do you want to do a run test live? I said yes, I want to do a run test now. So it's actually went and do the testing. Then it created the plugins for me. So this is a new structure of the plugin. So you actually see that there are new commands. That there's that strategy command, there's a strategy skills, and then they added some few other commands that is called fetch profile, scrape, and enrich. Fetch profile is actually to fetch the profile of the target to have the provider ID, okay, so that you can run the fetching of their post or any other information. Because if you want to do anything on Unipile, you need that provider, that engine provider ID. All right. So you went through multiple iterations until we have the final plugin that I actually tested. So let me just share with you how I actually tested the plugins and how it's actually worked. Now, this is Claude Cowork, all right? So now to run my plugins, okay, so remember I have a command that is called today post. Today post is a command that is run to actually scrape or get the post of today on my target profile and enrich them and store it. So that's actually what is there. So now I run it, but it actually identified that I'm missing my Airtable base ID, my Unipile ID. So there's a file that is called the config file. Let me just open it for you. So this the folder of ALGA that I've opened inside VS Code. You don't need to do that. Okay, I'm just showing you the back end of what I'm doing. Okay, so this is a config file currently that's having my Airtable base. So when you're going to receive this plugin, it's going to come empty. You need to provide it to your own Airtable based ID. That's going to be the ALGA that I'm going to provide to you, and then the Unipile API key, and then the DSN. So I'm also finding a solution to make it cheaper, to make Unipile cheaply accessible to you, so that you don't need to pay that $55 for a minimum of 10 accounts. I'm thinking of a way that you can just pay less than that through me, and then you have access to their LinkedIn account ID of Unipile. Then I'm going to provide you an API key, and then I'm going to provide you my DNS, so that because the most secure information here is a Unipile API key. And if you don't have other people Airtable based ID or Unipile account, LinkedIn account ID, then you can't have access to the account. So I'm going to make, so if you want it, please put in the comment, I want it. Then they will let me know that it's something that I have to take seriously. So this is actually the test. So actually say, okay, I actually went and provided the information, I run the test. So it's actually went and scraped the post, all right, and it's actually found that there's no post today. Then I actually went and make some change there so that it can actually run. So it went and run. So it's actually phase 1 complete. There's one new post, and then it load the new post for analysis. It run the analysis, and then you selected the role type, the post structure, and then do it for all this. And then at the end, you make the report of what he did. Then, for the sake of updating the plugins, I asked him to write a diagnostic report of what he did. So guys, this is very important. So when you are building with AI, I always ask him to make a diagnostic report so that you can feed it back to where you are building the project. Okay, so this is what I actually did. All right, so it's actually wrote this feedback, and then I took that information back to improve the plugin. So now today I have these plugins that is already available. That is the version 1.34. It's not yet the full version that I can actually deploy for you for testing, but if you're interested to be the first person to test this plugin, please, there's a link above. There is a waiting list. It's just my Substack waiting list. Okay, that's the easiest way that I found it to actually build it. So I'm going also to build a community where you can be part of, and where you are going to have access to these plugins, part of the journey of updating. And one of the things that are going to also to add lead generation, lead campaign, this plugin is going to also run LinkedIn campaign for you, email campaign for you. This is all go with ALGA for your business, managing your personal brand or also your outreach. So this is actually the end goal with ALGA. So thank you for watching this video so far, and let's see you on the fourth episode that is coming ahead. Subscribe, like the video, share it, please comment. That's going to encourage me to create more content.